Good evening, everyone. It's Parker. It's a late night update to a long day. I wanted to mention a few things because there's been a fair amount of news about the Ashland area homeless and news of importance and heft. So I wanted to try to transmit a few things. Not only about Mary and some of the other homeless we are working with, but about homelessness in general and some other updates. So, Mary is and continues to be in lodging and has been since December 14th. I saw her today, gave her a jump start, um, soup, a smoothie, a trickle charger, and a little bit of money so that she had food money. But she continues to be in hotel lodging. That will come to an end. She has had some opportunities that we hope she will think about, and we continue to hope that something good will connect for her. We've worked with some other homeless people uh, who Gina has brought into, has made awareness of, given awareness of, and some great things have happened this week alone. I wanted to let you know where your funding, where your donations have gone, because you give these donations in good faith, and it's important for you to know how they're being used. So this week we were able to transfer two people into transitional housing as a next step toward their own stability. We were able to connect one of them, they're a couple, one of them to physical and mental health services, and we were able to give them lodging that will also help advocate for them and help them take the next step and teach them self-advocacy. So we're just thrilled, and that was done through your donations in order to pay for a month of transitional housing. We've also started talking today. Gina and I talked to a health board about the importance of looking at the homeless and their health needs. Governor Evers' report this week and his $150 million biennium report that specifically identifies mental and behavioral health care as part of health care, has designated some really exciting programs that we hope will basically upgrade and increase awareness about addiction, about mental health crises, and about all that spawns and is connected to those crises. So the homeless are a vulnerable part of our population, and they're often experiencing not just one health crisis, but a multitude of health crises and trauma. The experience of being homeless itself is traumatizing. And I think I can relate this to, they say on the stress hierarchy that moving is one of the most stressful things we can experience in a lifetime, right? Right up there with divorce and other life events. And so, imagine having to move chronically, having to chronically be able, being forced to move, to pack things in bags and move. So the homeless are traumatized simply by being homeless, in addition to whatever other crises are underlying their homelessness. And this gets me to a point about vouchers, about motel vouchers, because much has been said about vouchers. And what the vouchers do is to provide some shelter from the storm on a very temporary basis for homeless people, for people whose furnace has gone out, for whatever the crisis or need is. The vouchers are not a long-term solution. They are a very temporary bridge. And if we are serious about addressing the underlying causes of homelessness, eviction, having an eviction on your record and being unable to rent, disability, mental health, felony, joblessness. If we're serious about this, then the vouchers just buy us a little bit of time. But what we need is something more substantive, something ongoing, and something that is there. And this leads me to another piece of news this week, which is Texas. So 2020, we had $22 billion climate change-driven disasters. We broke the records that 2011 and 2017 had set with billion-dollar climate-related disasters. For the past 6 years, we've had, every year for the past 6 years, we've had at least $10 billion climate change-driven disasters. So we just went through this life-threatening weather here in the Northwoods, but we know what to do with that in Wisconsin, right? We had our wood stoves, we had our backup generators, we had our snow tires, but Texas did not. And the grid failed. And now many people are dead. A multitude of people are dead. One state official has come out and said at least half of Texas doesn't have water and or energy. They don't handle the cold the way we do. And the bottom line is, and how this ties into homelessness, now that some people, their home is no longer habitable because of the grid failure, is that what the homeless teach us and what the homeless can be for us, among other things, is a stress test. So when we have an emergency and it's negative double digits and there's no shelter and there's no transitional housing and there's just this one mechanism, which is motel vouchers, what that tells us is that if there is a disaster, the 2 tornadoes that came close to Ashland last year, right, had they come through, what that tells us that is we're not ready. And I apologize if people would like to beg to differ, and I hope I'm wrong. But the homelessness are teaching us this, as well as compassion, as well as, you know, we look at them and the people who have so kindly, like you, have donated and said, I've got blankets, I've got food, I've got money, I've got a room, I want to help. Understand how close to vulnerability we all are. And the homeless, the distance between us and the homeless is not so great. And maybe for some of us, it's not that far at all, because we've been there, we're about to be there, we're couch surfing, we're living in a car, we're living in a friend's house for now. So I just throw these things out to think about. I think we're moving towards something that looks like a solution. I hope it involves job training. I hope it involves a rethinking of the way that we look at the homeless. I hope it involves a level of consciousness and compassion that changes us all. I mean, I've been changed by what I've seen. And every day that I have an interaction with Gina and Lisa and Arlene and Deborah and Melissa and Casey and all the wonderful people who are helping, I'm changed. So I'll end by saying we did lose someone this past week who's been in and out of homelessness. The homeless are vulnerable. And whether it's a death by exposure or an overdose or a failure to connect to health services for a chronic condition or suicide, they're vulnerable. And I think most of us know what that means and feels like. So please keep giving. Please keep believing. Today, your money went to help a young man with a mental health disorder get health services for the first time in a long time. It went, for me to go down and give Mary a jump start and money for food. It continues to be used in the highest and best ways to bridge people to their highest and best self. And I look forward to keep doing this with you. And I thank you for all your trust, all your faith, and for your big heart. Take care, everyone. Stay warm. Better days ahead. Spring's around the corner. Good night.